The Eros line seems to have a distant cousin, and with a much lower price ceiling. Good tidings to you there. In front of us today, we have Lattafa's Qaed Al Fursan Unlimited, a flanker that drops that pineapple, and it combines its chemicals to make a heavy, but rather warm, slight, sweet, spicy scent instead. And it markets itself as unisex. And its price for entry is around $17 if you buy it from just a rack store, and it's probably a wee bit cheaper if you get it online. And for those who care, there's your batch number right there. We have reviewed the original Qaed Al Fursan, and there's not a whole lot of change with this. The nameplate's slightly different, and there's a different coloring scheme, but other than that, it's more or less the same. And for those that do care, the cap is magnetic. Feels more or less the same as before if you've had the other one. Our notes within are as follows. We have cinnamon, cardamom, mandarin, and nutmeg for those top notes. We have caramel, lavender, clary sage, geranium, and cypress for those heart notes. And we have amber, cedarwood, olabinum, labdanum, and vetiver for those base notes. As always, one spray to capture the sky and one to hold close to the skin. Saw a little spray there. Quite good power behind that spray, I will say that. And then, of course, one for the skin. And as usual, we'll let it sit for a moment and we'll be right back. I do have Eros and Eros Flame, just not Najim to do like a complete one of one. But both of those do have like the same feel to me. The roads just divert just a little bit later down the line. And that is like there's a clean sweet, just a little bit of like a vanilla or something of that nature. And then there's a kick to it to kind of give it a little bit more sharpness. Untamed more or less tries to take the same trail, then pivot just a wee bit. The pivot for this is a touch more warmth, and then with like a fusion of the sweet from the caramel. And then they like raft together through its clean, and this is almost like a soapy thing going on. Probably coming more so from like a soapy citrus scent, and it creates like a more cold-seated scent in my opinion. It's close to the Eros feel, but it does feel like it blew out its back tire and gets like a tad hung up on that spicy and sweet, essentially creating like this wee bit of sharpness that can be a coin flip for the palate. The times to wear this, in my opinion, would be like cold days, spring nights, or around some AC. Something that wouldn't make the sweet sharpness and that warm spice, the usual shenanigans of those type of fragrances, generally don't do a whole lot of helping for you in some of the warmer days or like warmer temperatures, and this is no exception to that. As to wear this, the sharp sweet can be a wee bit too much right away, but as we'll quickly touch upon in a moment, it does fade quite fast. So you could probably get away with this in most avenues and or areas. This would be a 3.5 out of 5 little clouds for me. For price, it's around $16. It's within that blind buy curiosity simply due to the cost, especially if you want to experience something like of the essence of the Eros line, but without like breaking the bank, for instance. I know Eros isn't especially an expensive fragrance line, but this is, less than half of that. For performance on this, on skin, not covered by clothing, I clocked at around 3-ish hours. On skin underclothing, it was around 6 hours, give or take. And on clothing itself, it was around 8 hours. So it's not a super long performance. And on that note too, I feel like if this thing did last a little bit longer, it could get a little bit more nauseating. Some of those sweeter scents like this one with the caramel can do a little havoc on the old nostrils, especially with some of that sharp tones coming from, your cardamoms and what have you, nutmegs. Yeah, the mandarin kind of balances out just for a little bit, but the mandarin doesn't last a long time throughout this life cycle. So you gotta be really careful with these type of scents because they seem to do a little bit too much if they're lasting a little too long. For projection, it was a little loud in the beginning, but to me its cloud cape shrinks very quickly, becoming almost like a scent hugger within an hour or so. It's noticeable but very close to oneself. Overall, for less than $20, and with a moderate performance and like this up close and personal coverage to it, that is also to the tune of an Eros type of scent, I would say, maybe, but also keep your expectations level and expect it only to play out as a generic would when comparing it to an original. It's going to be lacking some levels and depthness to it. This is no exception. Also, it's a much cheaper fragrance, so I don't believe it's going to be a true one-to-one. Once again, maybe third or fourth cousin once removed. It's pretty comparable to the Eros line with respect to that much distance. But if that's not your jazz, then this probably won't be your jam. feel free to like and subscribe. I never mind it, and I always do appreciate it. And I always do appreciate you. Anyhow, anywho, and anyway, I think that'll do it for us today. I appreciate you stopping on by as always, and I do hope to see you again real soon. Goodbye for now.